We're joined by Mark Robinson now. We do frequent interviews with Mark, but this one is rather special because it's Chelsea. How different has the approach and preparation been for this one compared to other games?
Yeah, it's been a little bit different, not because we wanted the approach to be different, but our league has actually finished for a few weeks, so our next game in the league isn't until the 13th of Feb, because we've gone into the top half of the Merit League now. So we haven't actually got any games, so it was getting the balance of what we do, because in the previous rounds we've had league games coming thick and fast, and although it was quite a juggling act, it worked quite well because the boys were constantly up for every single game and we kept pulling out result. Now we've actually had more time to prepare, which is, you know, good in some respects, but at the same time we haven't had the game. So I've had a couple of in-house games. So we had an in-house game with a mixed under 21 group and some of our lads, and we've had another in-house game today when Mark B brought his academy boys down. So it's been a little bit different in trying to get the realism into those games and stuff. But it's gone okay. It's gone okay.
In that sense, what's been the challenge for you in terms of getting the attitudes of the players spot on for this one?
Yeah, well, it's been a little bit different. Ahead of the Watford game and Newcastle game, I didn't feel any kind of anxiety amongst the boys. Yeah, they were all very upbeat. It wasn't after the Newcastle game, but after the Chelsea Man United game, there was a definite shift in some of the boys' attitude. Not in terms of bad attitude, but it was certainly an anxiety amongst the group. They'd all watched the Chelsea Man United game. So I'd planned a meeting 5 days before basically the game to deal with the reality of what we was up against, because I feel anything in life when you're going up against, when you've got a task, a real task, that you need to deal with the reality of the situation. You know, you get lots of people coming up saying to you, oh, it's only a game of football, get in their faces, and they all mean well and they're all things that you've got to do, but at the end of the day, to cause an upset of this magnitude, it takes a little bit more than just getting in their faces. So what I decided was to bring that meeting forward. We had a nice open honest meeting, all of us, and we all got our thoughts out on the table, and I said there won't be any repercussions in terms of selection, but it's really important that we know how everyone's feeling. And it was great, and the boys were open and honest, and some admitted that they were worried and nervous, others didn't care less and couldn't wait, and it was great, and we got that all out in the open. Had a really good chat, and since then the training levels have gone back up a notch, which is pleasing. So I'm really glad that I did that, and as I said, we've dealt with the reality, which is, you know, we are going to be facing possibly the best under-18 team in Europe. So, you know, the risk of that is obviously that some players get nervous, but you have to deal with the reality and then plan. If you don't deal with the reality, you're going out there with a false optimism, I think. So we've done that.
You have partly answered my next question about not being fearful of what Chelsea can produce on the night. From our perspective, how much have you seen this squad improve since the start of the season? Yeah,
I mean, massively, Chris. I mean, they're a good group of boys. I think what the FA Youth Cup has done is give a focus, and I've kind of had to pick not my best 11, but a strong 11, and that's give a focus. And it's also given the boys who haven't been making the squad, the younger lads, a focus to fight. And basically it's just they've all raised their game. You know, there's always been some talent there, but they've raised their game, and if I'm honest, in some aspects far beyond where I thought they would. And that's, it's a good point, because leading on to the Chelsea game, you know, that's the conclusion we come to after our meeting, is that we raised the levels against Watford. We did real professional jobs against Woking and Ebbsfleet, potential banana skins. We raised our level of performance against Watford. I think we raised it again in certain aspects against Newcastle, and what we've come to the conclusion is, if we stand any chance of making this game a real contest, we've got to take our levels of performance to somewhere where we haven't been. And I said to the boys, what an exciting challenge that is.
Brilliant. Looking at the squad and the preparation, which you touched upon before, personnel-wise, how are we shaping up with team news and things like that?
Yeah, we were looking good and strong. We had players coming back. Jaden Antwee's back and he's training now. The only slight disappointment is George Marchant, who did ever so well against Watford, was on the bench for Newcastle, but he played against Watford, done a great job at left back. He's got a slight knee problem, and he's had to rule himself out, unfortunately. So we're a bit gutted for George because he's done ever so well. So George is out. Apart from that, we're fine, as I said, and Jaden's back. Will Mannion's rung in ill today, unfortunately. We're hoping it's nothing too bad. I think it's just a bug, fingers crossed. So apart from that, we got a full squad. Apart from Dom, obviously, who's out long term, but we've also got Reece Batchelor back in the frame again as well.
Players we spoke to in the lead up to this game for the matchday programme, including Alfie Egan, really bigged up the support he has at Newcastle with that great following. I mean, how important is it that we get that kind of passion for the team on this night?
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, I'm hearing different stories. Some people are saying we're 3,000, some are saying a sellout. I think we've sold close to 3,000, I'm right in saying. So to have the crowd there, one, it's great for their development, but if the crowd could be really positive, it would be fantastic, because it is a massive task for the boys. And you know, I think the people who are at Watford and the people who are at Newcastle have seen that they give everything, and as long as the boys do give everything, they don't deserve to get full support if they're not giving everything, but as long as they are giving everything for the club and the badge, then you know, it'd be great if everyone's really positive and strives on, because it can make a difference. There's no doubt up at Newcastle the support has made a difference, there's no doubt.
Just talking there about players we interviewed in the run-up to this game, there's a few Chelsea legends as there, which you'd expect being the minor locality of that club. How important is it that they stay professional? It's all about what the Dons do on this night.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you can't change that. Everyone has teams they support as a kid and stuff like that. But I mean, there's no doubt in their loyalty to this club. And as you know, there's certain players here like Reece Bowers who when he was younger turned down clubs to stay here and out. And Sennan, he'd be the first to admit, you know, he's a Chelsea fan, Chelsea wallpaper growing up as a kid, but he actually turned down a chance to trial with him when he was playing Sunday League football for us. So there's now no doubt in their loyalty to our football club. And you're right, they've got to, it's a difficult task. They've got to show the passion, the desire, but they've kind of got to take the emotion out of it as well. But I'm confident they do that.
Just finally, you mentioned Simon McKillop there. He's one of a few who played when the club were playing youth games against Sunday League teams. How important is it that we remember that kind of thing on this occasion?
Yeah, it's funny, I said that to someone, and I was explaining after we beat Newcastle that a lot of our squad have come from grassroots Sunday football, and they made the comment, well, most players do, which they do. Obviously, all players start as grassroots pretty much at some point, but I think what people forget is that these were our lads when we were playing Sunday League football. So our first team were in the Ryman 1, Ryman Prem Conference South, and these were our lads that were playing grassroots Sunday League football. And when we got academy status, we made the decision that rather than go for other clubs' releasees, we were going to stick with the boys that we rated and try and develop them and bring them through. So that's a hell of a, you know, it's a big difference to someone who gets cherry-picked at 7 in the best of the south of England to go and play at Chelsea or Fulham or Crystal Palace. So it's a very different story. And yeah, we do need to remember that. At the end of the day, our job is about producing footballers that are good enough to go into our first team. That's the bigger picture. But no, we do need to remember where these lads have come from. And they haven't been cherry-picked, they've been developed with us. And they've done fantastic so far, and let's hope it continues.
That's great to hear, Mark, and all the best for the big night.
Cheers, Chris, thanks.